Good morning. I'm Don Dickey, a member of this congregation, and it's my privilege to welcome you here on a morning where it's not raining. Yes. I want to also welcome those who are joining us by live streaming or who may later watch us on the video archives. Good morning and good summer. I would like to know, do we have any members who brought a guest or visitor? If so, please stand, let us know their name and where they're from. Yes?
I met yesterday a new friend, Tristan King, and he and I went back to
Welcome. Do we have any? Yes.
This is my friend Sonny. I will be singing, or I guess, rapping her later on in the service. There you go.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Vicki Combs, and I've been gone a long time.
I know.
I'm back 12 years, and good to be back.
Welcome back.
Right, and are there any other visitors today who would feel comfortable standing and letting us know who you are and where you're from? Well, we've got one other straggler, and Alex Westerfeld. Where are you? Are you here with us? Another lost soul who has returned to the fold. Anyway, welcome. We're having a lunch after the service, and for those of you who are visitors or stragglers, let the people collecting money know, and you get a lunch on us. Now, also today, it's a big day. We're acknowledging a milestone in the lives of 3 of our students, graduation from high school. So this is a wonderful time to acknowledge those many of whom have grown up in the church. We also have our annual meeting. So, procedure is, the air conditioning is out in here. We are going to hold the annual meeting in Conover, where air conditioning is functional. So, after the service, you can go get your food. After 12:30, you'll be able to register here in the lobby for the annual meeting. And then the annual meeting will officially start at 1 p.m. So, welcome all.
Today is a day of celebration for our community, a day to honor our graduating seniors, to give thanks for their presence in our lives and all that they have meant to us over the years, and to send them forth to their next chapters of approaching adulthood with our blessing. It should be a day of love and new possibilities and rejoicing. And it will be, for we will make it that, for the sake of these young people who are dear to us. And yet, first, we must again lift up our hearts in sorrow and horror and outrage for 12 more lives lost to yet another episode of gun violence, this time in Virginia Beach. Their names were Tara, Mary Louise, Alexander McHale, Catherine, Ryan, Joshua, Missy, Lakita, Bobby, Richard, Christopher, and Bert. They were ordinary people doing ordinary things on an ordinary day that in one split second turned into unimaginable terror. They could have been any of us, leaving behind partners, children, parents, friends, communities. Patriarchal privilege, interpersonal isolation, access to guns. It's a lethal combination in this era in our country. Thoughts, of course, to those who are stunned and grieving. Prayers as well, if you wish. But something more than this is owed by those of us who randomly didn't die on Friday. The guns, of course. It should be at least as hard to get and keep a gun as it is to get and keep a car. Make it so, to whatever extent you can. But turn your mind and heart as well to both the assumptions of privilege and the pain of isolation. Invite yourself and others to lay aside the notion of being superior and entitled and worth more and deserving better than someone else. Then learn how to make the human connections that literally keep us alive. Teach your children and everyone you can how to do that also. The only relevant answer to the trauma that tears us apart is to weave the connections deeper and wider and stronger that hold us together. Cherish each other. That's the moral of the story. Every time. This time, too. May their memory be for a blessing.
Good morning, and once again, welcome. Today we celebrate 3 of our high school graduates, Derek Westra, Martin Tomlinson, and Ethan Robertson, with a bridging ceremony. The bridging ceremony celebrates their transition from adolescence into young adulthood. In the words of Jeff Liebman, the bridging ceremony is a rite of passage that welcomes these bright and energetic young men into the rewards and responsibilities of adulthood. The bridge has 2 sides. One side is childhood and adolescence, where they become leaders and role models for their younger friends. The other side is a scary and vast frontier of the unknown, full of boundless opportunities and new challenges. We, the adult members of the congregation, stand on the other side of this bridge. We stand with our arms open to welcome these young men, our minds prepared to mentor and to learn from them, and our hearts prepared to share life together with them. I've had the privilege and joy of knowing Derek, Martin, and Ethan for many years here at All Souls, and I've watched them grow into talented, compassionate, and caring young men. We can all be very proud of them as we celebrate their graduation and their transition into adulthood. Derek, Martin, and Ethan, today we applaud you for all you have been, for all you are now, and for all you will become as we celebrate this bridging ceremony with you. We kindle this chalice in gratitude for all the children and youth who bring such joy and love into our All Souls community.
Hello, my name is Savannah, and I light this chalice for the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Please rise and join us in affirming our covenant and remain standing for the hymn to follow. Goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and welcome one another. And I would like to note we have Sarah Labar, who normally is sharing her vocal talents, sharing talents with another part of her anatomy today.
From the light of days remembered, burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion beat to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of the living rings a song of brave and free, calling pilgrims sent to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the wings of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
I invite you now to join in the antiphonal reading that will appear on the screen. The right will be your right and the left will be your left, and watch for the A, which is all of us together. The M is me. What do we want our children to know of the world?
That the world is magical, that its wonders never cease, that its beauty is enormous.
What do we want our children to know of life?
That all life is a sacred gift, that all life has worth,
That life deserves our deepest respect and reverence. What do we want our children to know of the earth?
that humans are caretakers, not masters of our fragile planet, that this is the only way of love which supports life in anyone.
What do we want our children to know of ignorance?
That there is much we don't know, even the wisest among us. That there is much we disagree on, and that it's all right to disagree.
What do we want our children to know of learning?
That knowledge is precious, and wisdom new even more precious. That we must learn from the past and must continue to our future.
What do we want our children to know of choosing?
That we must learn to judge right from wrong. That we have the freedom and power to say well what is wrong. And that we must act for what we know is right.
What do we want our children to know of being human?
That life has a purpose which is to leave us behind. That we are each part of the whole of humankind. That hands are for building and holding and for hard, honest work. That our hearts are for loving and our minds for creating. That life will be painful at times, even hard and cruel. That love and beauty will be with us always.
That what we give of ourselves will be its own reward.
At this time, the children who are with us at the moment will be excused to their classes with song.
My papers are stuck. Sorry. It's kind of humid, right? What a week. Tornado outbreaks, one of which hit literally too close for comfort. Catastrophic flooding, both here in the Missouri River Valley and across the South. Migrant detentions growing, no more deaths, humanitarian volunteers convicted. Continuing attacks on abortion rights here in Missouri and elsewhere. Yet another mass shooting. The news this week and of all the recent and likely future weeks could certainly drive one to despair. And yet there is a balm for this disquietude, one which we instinctively seek out amidst such calamity. We are that balm. We are community. Amidst such hardship and distress, we seek out one another to help us heal, to help others heal, to put back the pieces that can be put back, to correct that which needs to be corrected. There is something in us that tells us to help one another, something to which we are drawn in times of challenge. We know we are stronger, more resilient, and more hopeful together. And we know that holding one another up means that we are supported by our community when we cannot bear it on our own. Our hymn book, Singing the Living Tradition, includes a beautiful little tune that exemplifies this interconnection and creation of community. It's hymn 402 if you ever decide to look it up, and you'll probably recognize the lyrics. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. I urge you to give generously to one another, to our All Souls general budget, because it is the means by which our beloved community lives and thrives. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. And yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I'ma get a scholarship to King's College. I probably shouldn't brag, but dag, I'm amazed and astonished. The problem is I got a lot of brains with no polish. I gotta holler just to be heard with every word. I drop knowledge. I'm a diamond in the rough, a shiny piece of gold, trying to reach my goal. My power of speech, unimpeachable. Only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every word and every disadvantage. I've learned to manage. I don't have a gun to brandish. I walk these streets famished. The plan is to put the spark into a flame, but now it's getting dark, so let me spell out the name. I am the ALEXANDER. We are meant to be a colony that runs independently. Meanwhile, Britain keeps stepping on us endlessly. Essentially, they tax us relentlessly. Then King George turns around, runs a spending spree. He ain't ever gonna let his descendants see. So there will be a revolution in this century. And to me,
He says in parentheses,
don't be shocked when your history book mentions me. I will lay down my life if it sets us free. You will see my ascendancy, and I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot.
it's time to take a shot. Bird, check what we got. Mr. Lafayette, hard rock like Lancelot. I think your pants look hot, Lawrence, I like you a lot. But that's a plot blacker than the kettle calling the pot. What are the odds the gods will put us all in one spot? I'm in a squad of conventional wisdom, like it or not. A bunch of revolutionary manumission abolitionists. Give me a position, show me where the ammunition is. Or am I talking too loud? Sometimes I get overexcited. Shoot off at the mouth. I never had a group of friends before. I promise that I'll make y'all proud.
Let's get this guy in front of a crowd. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot.
Everybody sing.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
Whoa. Let him hear ya.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
To the rooftop.
Whoa.
Rooftop.
Whoa.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, go.
Rise up when you're living on your knees. You rise up. Tell your brother that he's gotta rise up. Tell your sister that she's gotta rise up. When are these colonies gonna rise up? 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 Rise up.
I imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. Who's it gonna get me? In my sleep, 7 feet ahead of me. If I see it coming, do I run or do I let it be? Is it like a beat without a melody? See, I never thought I'd live past 20. Where I come from, some get half as many. Ask anybody why we living fast, and we laugh, reach for a flask. We have to make this moment last. That's plenty. Scratch that. This is not a moment. It's the movement. Where are the hungriest brothers with something to prove? Went. Foes oppose us. We take an honest stand. We roll like Moses, claiming our promised land. And if we win our independence, that guarantee of freedom or our descendants? Or will the blood be shed, begin an endless cycle of vengeance and death with no defendants? I know the action in the street is exciting, but Jesus, between all the bleeding and fighting, I've been reading and writing. We need to handle our financial situation. Are we a nation of state? What's the state of our nation? I'm past patiently waiting, I'm passionately smashing every expectations, every action's a math of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties of sorrow, for the first time thinking past tomorrow.
And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. We're gonna rise up.
Time to take a shot.
We're gonna rise up.
Time to take a shot.
We're gonna rise up. Time to take a shot. We're gonna rise up. Time to take a shot. We're gonna rise up. Whoa.
Hey yo, it's time to take a shot. Time to take a shot. And I am not throwing away my
shot.
Thank you, Isaac and Ansani. Now I invite all of you to join together in the words of dedication for our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Hey, Isaac has been here with us since he was born many years ago. Isn't he fabulous? And his friend, yay. At this time, we want to tell you about these three wonderful young men who are our high school graduates. Ethan is here with his parents this morning. Derek and Martin couldn't be physically present with us today, so I invited them to join us from where they are on our live streaming ministry so that they can participate in our celebration of their graduations. So welcome to live stream, Derek and Martin. I had the privilege of spending 8 days and nights with these three young men on a coming-of-age trip to Boston. You really get to know teenagers when you're with them 24/7, having new adventures in a new city. And I can tell you that Derek, Martin, and Ethan already live our UU values in their interactions with others. They manifested kindness, generosity, and a zest for learning on the Boston trip and in their Sunday school classes. And they continue to manifest these qualities today. They're committed to reaching out and helping others to make this a better world for all of us. They're incredibly talented, compassionate, and caring young men. So now let's hear a little bit more about them.
Wow, this really is some new floor up here. Izzy's right. He looked at it and said he needed to tap dance. Yeah. We'll hang around after and tap dance with you. I'm Nelson Maurice, and as the line goes, you're not. Lottery tickets, milk, asparagus. Jan, have you given me the wrong list? I come not to praise Derek Webster. I come not to bury him, but to praise him. You know, this is a community, an idiosyncratic community. We have people like me who can't avoid the chance to try to make a joke. And then a lot of other people who don't do a lot of wonderful, serious work, like the folks who put this stage together and the folks who just gave us a music performance. It was my privilege to work with Derek Westra as his coming-of-age mentor. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. Derek entered the world early and dramatically in May of 2001. Fortunately, his parents and three older siblings were already ensconced in a wonderful community of homeschoolers, and he was immediately embraced into the LEARN homeschool community. And he's been working hard to learn what that spells ever since. Derek, oh, there he is. That's his picture, and he'll get me when he's back in town. Derek is a lifelong UU, beginning with his birth. He was embraced by our All Soul community at that time. He was born prematurely and in a critical condition. He was taken to Children's Mercy Hospital, where Jim Eller who was our All Souls minister at the time, happened to be. Jim's wife, Jeannie, was doing pastoral care at the hospital. She immediately called Jim and had him come to the hospital and stay with the Westra family until Derek's condition stabilized. It was a serious matter. At one point, the hospital staff told the Westra family that they had to leave Derek's room during a change of nursing staff. This was very difficult since the family was unsure what was going to happen to Derek. He was literally hovering between death and life. As soon as they left Derek's room, around the corner came our own All Souls member, Scott England, to work as the nurse on Derek's unit. This comforted the Westra family immensely. Those of us at All Souls who know Derek have loved him since he was born and still love him today. Derek is a kind and caring young man who, as a typical UU and a typical Westra, has reached out to help other people in his lifetime. He has done community service at Harvesters and Wayside Waifs and tutored children after school with the Youth Volunteer Corps. He spent overnights helping to serve homeless when All Souls opened its doors as a warming center during frigid weather. Derek also helps his neighbors by shoveling snow and raking leaves. In addition to visiting UU sites in Boston, a highlight of Derek's coming-of-age trip was his taking his friends on a tour of the Boston Fire Museum, which was led by his very own grandfather. Small world. Despite his rough start, Derek has always been easygoing, even when subjected to the whims of the rest of his family, being dragged on road trips when he would rather stay home. Those trips have included most of the lower 48 and numerous national parks. He has been buried in the sand at Wingersheek, and then unburied, of course. He has sledded down the dunes at White Sands, New Mexico. He's investigated the tidal pools in California, toured caverns in Missouri and New Mexico, dug a snow fort, God, that sounds great, in the mountains of Colorado, biked the Erie Canal Trail, became a junior ranger at many parks, explored more science and history museums than he could count or want, but hey, what the heck. Derek figures he's done enough road trips for now and is opting to stay in Kansas City for the foreseeable future, exploring employment improving his video gaming skills, hanging out with friends, drawing, writing, and learning video production. His parents and all of us at All Souls are so proud of this compassionate, thoughtful young man that is Derek Westra, and proud of the way that he is choosing to engage the world. All Souls will continue to be here for you, Derek. And as you continue on your life's journey, congratulations on becoming who you are. That's Derek Westra.
Hi, I'm Scott Hensey. Anthony Edwards and I were so honored to get to know Martin Tomlinson when we became his coming-of-age mentors. We have remained connected with Martin ever since that time, and it is a joy for me to tell you a little bit about Martin this morning. Martin found All Souls through one of our Harry Potter camps. His parents heard about the camp and enrolled Martin. Through their positive experiences with the camp, they decided to begin attending All Souls. Martin became very interested in our religious education programs, and his parents taught in our middle school classes here at All Souls for many years. Martin has embraced Unitarian Universalism, and he has become involved in many social justice activities. He is committed to making this a better world for others. During Martin's coming-of-age trip to Boston, he was a wonderful leader, helper, and friend to the other youth. His positive and caring attitude shone through in all of his interactions. And through All Souls, Martin attended a global challenge at Heifer International Ranch. Martin has demonstrated emotional, social, and intellectual maturity in all of his involvement in UU and social justice causes. He was chosen as a co-dean for the Unitarian Universalist United Nations Conference in New York for 2 years because of his demonstrated leadership qualities. Martin showed great commitment and persistence by spending a week in a UUA immigration program in Arizona, which included putting out water for immigrants in the desert. Martin is trained as a UUA youth chaplain. He has been honored as a luminary leader by the Unitarian Universalist Association. While attending high school in both Spain and Germany, Martin kept his involvement in Unitarian Universalism. He joined the European Unitarian Universalists. He went to one of their retreats where he met many kind people from across Europe. And he has stated that he will continue to search out UU wherever he goes throughout his life. Martin has spent more than 8 years volunteering in community service to others. He has served meals to the homeless, worked at Harvesters, the Community Food Network, and worked in urban gardens here around Kansas City. He has sung to senior citizens as a member of the lyric opera Rainbow Choir, worked with at-risk children, read to senior citizens as a member of the Read Out Loud to Others. Martin volunteered in many projects as an active leader and board member of the Youth Volunteer Corps of Kansas City. He has served here at All Souls, our community, through ushering, serving at our annual auction, serving at Restart, and serving at Sunday Plus lunches. He organized a youth-led drive at All Souls to collect hygiene products for the Kansas City Indian Center. And he has served as a youth representative on our religious education team. He has represented All Souls at our General Assemblies, both in New Orleans and here in Kansas City. Martin is unable to be with us as he is finishing his senior year in Germany today. I'm pretty sure he might be with us live streaming. But he wrote this letter of thanks to you here at All Souls. And this is what Martin wrote. I would like to thank everyone at All Souls for supporting me and always making me feel welcome and accepted. I learned from many great role models at All Souls about building community and social justice. Judith's guidance and constant positive outlook showed me the many ways to be involved with Unitarian Universalism. Anthony and Scott were my kind and giving mentors, and the religious education teachers gave me a place here to explore my beliefs and the beliefs of others. And I had some very nice mystery friends. I was able to get to know many amazing church members through different programs or just by having nice talks at lunch. Adults at the church always seemed happy to give their time and share their experiences to help me understand what it means to live a purposeful life. Being a part of this community was important in my life. It helped me give myself a place to explore activism and gave me direction. Wherever I live, I will search out a UU community. I will come back to All Souls when I am in town and hope to keep it as my church. I look forward to the day that I can get back to All Souls. Thank you, Martin.
Good morning. Now, we are Amy and Joe Robertson, and Ethan is our oldest son. Ethan was a 3-year-old little boy, about half my size the first time he walked into All Souls. He was my little surveillance partner. It was just him and I, and we were checking out this curious Universalist Unitarian operation. We were shy. We didn't introduce ourselves. We just took it in quietly. Amy and I were looking for possibilities for religious spiritual education. And we were also at that time in shock over the impending re-election of George W. Bush, so we really needed a sympathetic tribe. Well, we've grown a lot over these 15 years, some of us more than others. I still don't know where all that came from. And the same goes for his courage. He dwarfs me, and his courage dwarfs me.
Ethan is our first kid, and he's been the one to teach us about each parenting stage. He has also taught us a lot about thinking for yourself, having a vision, and working hard to make dreams come true. As Joe said, we decided it would be good to give him a church community, and we're lucky that we found the best one. He was a fixture in the nursery and then the Sunday school classes from age 3 to early high school. And he and his younger brother were lucky to be in Kendyl's first class of chalice lighters. As a young boy, he told us that he loved God, and I remember him telling me he prayed to the Christmas tree. So sweet, he was about 6. That was his idea. We did not tell him to love God or to pray anywhere. Sometimes he would tell us that he was not a UU. He really wanted to attend a Christian church for a while, and as a preteen, he badgered us about this. But we would often hear from his Sunday school teachers here that he had quite a lot to say in his classes. Sounds like a UU, right? Of course, we always told him he was welcome to be a Christian and to love God. I bought him a Bible, and I talked with Judith and our minister in particular, Reverend Jennifer, about ways to support him here in his Christian ideals. In Boston, on the coming of age trip, he loved visiting the King's Chapel the best. And if you've ever been there, you know it's really different. It feels like it's almost an Episcopal church. He also loved giving big chunks of his spending money to the street panhandlers. We kept saying, no, don't do that, but he was very moved by their need. They must need it more than I do, he would say. As he grew up, he has also been willing to show us how hard he will work toward a purpose. It's been fascinating to watch. At about age 10, perhaps inspired by a really talented friend and neighbor, Ethan determined that he would become a basketball player, a really good one. And he worked and worked and worked and worked on it until he made first the middle school basketball team and then the high school junior varsity team amid really stiff competition. He had to work exhaustively. He had to work harder than everyone else and be willing to over and over and over walk into gyms where just about everyone else was better than he was. And he would have to battle his way up level by level. When he joined the football team in middle school, it wasn't long before he decided he would become a kicker, even though he didn't have a particular knack for it. Instead, he watched videos and read books and read articles online and found kicking camps and online communities. Eventually, he found a mentor in Miami, Florida, and the magic of Skype and smartphones has made their working relationship possible. All the while, he went out to area fields and kicked and kicked and kicked. Some people might think that being the kicker is the easiest job on the football team, but we now know there's nothing easy about it. Ethan films himself and watches his form. He seeks feedback. He makes adjustments. He fine-tunes. He does yoga and Pilates and natural movement exercises. He lifts weights. And he kicks, and he kicks, and he kicks. At his senior football banquet, the head coach told everyone that he thinks Ethan put in as many hours or more than he did, and Ethan definitely practiced more on his own than anyone else on the team. He also played soccer and baseball and was on swim team. Jim Mitchell can tell you a little bit about that. As Ethan's coming-of-age mentor, Jim came to countless basketball and soccer games and even one long, hot swim meet. But Ethan is not just an athlete. He has volunteered through the Youth Volunteer Corps in community gardens, at a nursing home, at area parks, at a spiritual retreat, at a preschool, at the Kansas City Community Kitchen, and at a thrift store. He worked with enthusiasm, usually appreciating the different people he met on the projects most of all. And at All Souls, he's been able to volunteer at Sunday Plus Lunches, the Unplaza Art Fair, the book sale, the auction, Harry Potter camp, and Restart. His principals and teachers tell us how he stands up for less fortunate and bullied classmates. He kept his integrity in the face of all of that high school peer pressure. He is a fiercely independent thinker. And since we're talking about his high school graduation, I'll just share that he has done well in school, taking honors and AP courses and a few classes for college credit. He told us the other night he thinks he's going to miss doing calculus problems. He He is thinking about studying to become a physical therapist so that he can be up and moving around while he works and help people exercise their bodies back into health. But before he does that, he has his eyes on the NFL. He's going to college in Miami, and he's found a good school. And while you might think that he's surely drawn to the beach and the nightlife, those aren't the draw. It's the mentor. Ethan thinks that working with his mentor in person will give him the best possible preparation and best chance to be able to play on an NFL team one day. Oh, and the school he's going to play for? Ethan found them. He discovered a small private school was planning to launch a football team next year, and even though their coaching staff was not even complete and not all in Miami yet, Ethan got a hold of them. He made his case until they asked him to come. And so now we are counting down the weeks until we put our firstborn child on a plane to go to college 1,500 miles away. It seems unreal. Who goes to college in Miami? I have never known such a person until now. So now Ethan will teach us about parenting a college athlete from a long distance. He'll teach us about letting go and how much to hold on. We do not want him to go so far away, but we understand how and why he has chosen this path. I have no doubt that he will be successful, step by step, day by day, using his vision as his guide and putting in the work toward his goals with diligence and good humor.
And I just want to add, we want to add that we look at the courage in this All Souls community, and we are grateful that you and Judith's classrooms gave Ethan and his little brother Chase that wild space to fly. Amy and I know better than to try to tell Ethan where to stand or what to think. We made the right decision back when he was little Ethan to make this our church home. And we are happy for you to claim him as yours, just as Amy and I claim him as ours. But he is his own self, and we and you and Ethan wouldn't have it any other way.
There are many things that I learned and experienced at All Souls that were good for me, such as loving others around you, accepting them, being a positive part of the community. But these are things that are, in one way or another, taught in all positive communities. One thing really did set All Souls apart for me. I learned to question what most people accept as fact. This is one thing that is hard to learn or even dissuaded in other religious communities. At All Souls, being different and being yourself is not only accepted, but it is encouraged from a young age. This being the only church I've ever belonged to, it's something I took for granted. But looking around the world now as I've grown up, it is clear that this is something that many people could benefit from, and something that I am now grateful for. The Boston coming-of-age trips showed me that being UU is not a one-size-fits-all type of thing, and that's the beauty of it. At the time of these trips, I considered myself a UU that believed in God. I now consider myself agnostic. We visited a church in Boston that was UU, but would be almost unrecognizable to this community. They worshiped God and read from the Bible, but they still had open arms with an all-inclusive approach in its community. This was my favorite experience, as it validated my version of being UU, not that it had ever been dissuaded in the first place. I grew up in center schools, something that raises eyebrows from time to time. I remember walking up Troost Avenue on hot summer mornings to get to football practice. I was one of maybe 5 or 6 white kids on the team. I was a part of a community that was a far cry from the hills and the suburbs. Although I came from a stable household, I grew up with kids whose lives were always in flux. Many of my teammates and friends rode the metro from outside the district, trying to go to school at Center instead of a KC public school. Oftentimes, their true address would be revealed at some point, and they would be removed from school without me getting a chance to say bye. I also remember playing basketball my sophomore year. We had a road game in Warrensburg, Missouri. Being the only white kid on the team, we weren't welcomed as visitors. I remember Trump-Pence signs being waved at us and racial slurs thrown at my teammates. Long story short, the Warrensburg district swept this incident under the rug after it gained media attention. But through all of this, we had coaches and teachers that loved us and supported us and worked for us to get every opportunity. My time growing up at Center helped me understand our society in a whole different way, and I've made lifelong friends that I never would have made if we had moved to the suburbs or gone the private school route. So for that, I truly need to thank my parents. Like they said, after graduation now, I'll be playing college football at St. Thomas University in Miami. And I just want to take the time to thank Judith and thank our great religious education program for helping me grow up, and thank this community for being a positive force in my life. Thank you.
Stay here for a minute, okay? It's the same everywhere. College students, young adults are idealists. They think they can change the world. It was that way at the University of Munich in February of 1943, when 3 students were arrested by Hitler's Gestapo. Hans Scholl was in medical school preparing to become a doctor, at the same time that he served, like all young men in Germany at the time, in the army. His younger sister, Sophie, studied philosophy and biology at the university. Their friend, Christel Probst, was married and the father of 3 young children. 4 days later, after interrogation and a pro forma trial, the 3 of them were beheaded at München-Stadelheim prison. They were executed for daring to stand up and speak out against the tyranny of the Nazis. Hans and Sophie Scholl and Christel Probst, together with their friends Alexander Schmorl, Willy Graf, and their professor, Kurt Huber, were the authors and distributors of the Leaflets of the White Rose, a series of short essays that were anonymously published and distributed across their campus and at other universities during the summer and fall of 1942. In these leaflets, the 6 members of the Society of the White Rose called upon the conscience of the German people to resist Hitler's National Socialist government, its war aggressions, and its abuse of Jews and other citizens' rights. They encouraged the fearful and despairing citizens who had been silenced by the surveillance, threats, and violence of the Nazi Party organization to believe that resistance was possible, and that even the secret spread of ideas could help end the war and restore the nation to sanity and justice. On old-fashioned mimeograph machines, they ran off copies of these pamphlets in the middle of the night, quietly scattered them in hallways and classrooms, sent them anonymously through the mail, and even traveled on trains to other cities with suitcases full of them to give to friends and to place at other college campuses. Sophie and Hans and their friends knew that what they were doing was extremely dangerous. They tried to protect their families and other friends from being implicated by never discussing this work or their feelings about Hitler's administration with anyone outside the Society of the White Rose. They were motivated by the inspiring philosophies of Germany's greatest thinkers and scholars and writers, people like Schiller and Fichte and Goethe, as well as historical examples like Lao Tzu, Thomas Aquinas, and the Bible. From these various sources, they came to conclusions that resonate remarkably with the convictions of modern humanism. Again, in our own day, their work stands as a challenge to any government that would seek to make unjust war, to trample on the rights of minorities, to silence dissent, and to hold itself above moral accountability. Today, these young people of our community declare themselves, as we have taught them to be, the authors of their own thoughtful convictions, nurtured by the free heritage of our love and the human endeavor, but fundamentally free. My dear, there is so little that we can promise you about the future, not even that the day may not come when the price of freedom and integrity would be once again life itself. On this day, I invite you to become an heir to the Society of the White Rose, to embrace in clarity and pride what you authentically believe, to follow fearlessly wherever reason and conscience lead you in the years to come, and to act with courage on your values as they call you to serve humanity and the highest good. This is the story of Sophie and Hans Scholl and the White Rose. May the spirit that was in them and those who worked and died with them be in you also, that the spirit of the White Rose of human dignity, integrity, and freedom shall bloom in your life to be a sign and a blessing to all the world. Let's stand and conclude with song.
We are giving you the lighted bridges, but you may sit for a few moments and we'll tell you when to raise them. Thank you very much. And Ethan, there you are. You want to come stand over here, buddy? All right. Derek, Martin, and Ethan are crossing the bridge from adolescence into adulthood. As a part of this bridging ceremony, I want to share this reading by Reverend Barbara L. Hebner with you graduates. It's entitled, A Hope Realized. Hope is that slender thread that we shoot across the abyss of despair so that we may later haul across the ropes of reality. We're not meant to swing across the chasm on glimmering gossamer strands of hope. They are there to guide us as we do the hard work of building the bridges upon which we may walk for the generations to come. Building bridges is grubby and unglamorous, expensive and time-consuming, but that's what gets us across. And for that, we need companionship and community. Look around you. Every good thing you see is a hope realized. Derek, Martin, and Ethan, you are a hope realized in our lives. We commit today to support you in fulfilling your hopes for the future. For the gifts of friendship and joy, we thank you. For the memories that we'll always cherish, we give you thanks. As you move into making your own choices about your life decisions, live your life with awareness and intention. May you remember the gift of listening and the stillness of the heart. May you remember the gift of laughter and the joy of the dance. May you grow in mind and spirit and body forever, our friends. This is a time of transition and not farewell. As you move into a new phase of life, the experiences you've had and the lessons you've learned here at All Souls will remain with you. We hope for you a fulfilling life that expands the common good in the world. And we are giving you a travel mug with the symbol of a chalice to remind you that no matter how far you travel, there's always a place for you here at All Souls. And we're giving you a special chalice to remind you there's always a light burning for you here at All Souls. Wherever you travel, whatever path you choose, you're always welcome here at All Souls and in any Unitarian Universalist church. Please join me in the congregational response to our graduates. The response is in your bulletin and on the screen. We welcome you into the adult community of All Souls. For your individual talents and gifts, we welcome you. For the hopes you bring and the concerns you share, we welcome you. We offer you our guidance and friendship as you cross the bridge into adulthood. Now, you may stand and raise your rainbow arches. Wait just a minute, Ethan. And raise them really high because you can see how tall Ethan is. Ethan will represent all three of our graduates as he crosses our lighted bridge from adolescence into adulthood. Please remain with us for some graduation cake after the service. Congratulations to Derek, Martin, and Ethan. And I have a gift to give you. pull the thing all the way down?